Harley-Davidson is known for legendary bikes, but not every ride is a winner. From design disasters to mechanical nightmares, some models had fans scratching their heads. Ready to cringe at the missteps of an iconic brand? Buckle up for the 10 most disappointing Harley-Davidson motorcycles ever. Let's start at number 10. The XR1200 was supposed to be Harley's answer to the sport bike revolution, but it ended up being more of a confused question mark. This bike promised to blend Harley's heritage with modern performance, but delivered an identity crisis instead. Harley marketed the XR1200 as a track-ready machine that could compete with Japanese sport bikes. The 1200cc Evolution engine produced 91 horsepower, which sounds impressive until compared to actual sport bikes. The fundamental problem was weight. At 580 pounds, it felt like riding a sport bike with ankle weights compared to Honda's CBR 1000RR at 444 pounds. 0 to 60 took 4.2 seconds, respectable, but not competitive with bikes costing thousands less. The quarter mile came in at 12.8 seconds, falling short of expectations. Riders expected canyon carving capabilities, but got a machine that felt awkward in tight corners and lacked the raw acceleration needed for sport riding. Sales figures reflected rider disappointment. In 2009, Harley sold only 1,784 XR1200s in the United States, a fraction of what the company expected. The bike was discontinued after just 2 model years, making it one of the shortest-lived models in Harley's modern lineup. Coming in at number 9, the Sportster Low seemed brilliant on paper. Take the accessible Sportster platform and lower it for shorter riders. Unfortunately, good intentions don't always translate to good motorcycles. Number 9, Harley-Davidson XL883L Sportster Low. The problems began with the suspension modifications. To achieve the lower ride height, Harley significantly reduced suspension travel. The rear shocks provided only 2.2 inches of travel, barely enough to handle moderate road imperfections. The front forks suffered similar restrictions, creating a motorcycle that felt harsh and unforgiving over anything but perfectly smooth pavement. Ground clearance became a serious issue. With only 3.3 inches of clearance, the bike scraped its foot pegs, exhaust, and frame components on even modest lean angles. Riders found themselves avoiding corners or riding unnaturally upright to prevent expensive damage. The 883 cubic centimeter Evolution engine felt even more underwhelming when burdened with compromised chassis dynamics. The restricted suspension made the bike feel unstable at highway speeds, while low ground clearance eliminated spirited cornering possibilities. Braking performance suffered due to altered weight distribution, creating an unsettling diving sensation. The extreme lowering gave the bike a squashed, disproportionate look that lacked classic Sportster proportions. Many riders felt it looked like it was sitting on its frame rather than riding properly. The model was quietly discontinued after just 2 years, replaced by better low-seat height options. Coming into number 8, the twin-cam 88 engine should have been a triumph for Harley-Davidson. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about rushing new technology to market without adequate testing. Harley-Davidson Dyna Twin Cam 88. Early twin-cam 88 engines suffered from catastrophic cam chain tensioner failures. These undersized and poorly designed components would fail, causing the timing chain to jump and pistons to contact valves, destroying the engine completely. This wasn't a minor inconvenience. It meant complete engine rebuilds. Oil leaks became widespread among early engines. Head gaskets, rocker box gaskets, and various seals couldn't contain the engine's oil, leaving unsightly stains wherever bikes were parked. Owners joked grimly about marking territory, while struggling to maintain their motorcycle's appearance. Exhaust valve guides wore prematurely, causing oil consumption and blue smoke within the first 20,000 miles. This expensive problem often appeared well before owners expected major engine work, forcing $1,000 repair bills during what should have been trouble-free ownership periods. Harley-Davidson's initial response to these problems was defensive and inadequate. The company blamed owner maintenance practices and riding habits rather than acknowledging design flaws. This approach alienated loyal customers and damaged the brand's reputation for standing behind its products. Eventually, Harley issued technical service bulletins and extended warranties for some of the most serious problems, but the damage was already done. Moving to number 7. The CVO Softail Convertible promised the ultimate versatility, a touring motorcycle that could instantly transform into a cruiser. Number 7. Harley-Davidson CVO Softail Convertible. The execution proved that some ideas work better in theory than practice. The quick-release windshield and detachable saddlebags were supposed to allow transformation from touring bike to cruiser in minutes. Reality was different. The process required multiple tools and took significantly longer than marketing suggested. The windshield mounting system created aerodynamic turbulence, while the saddlebags offered limited storage and were difficult to access. The bike's weight distribution changed dramatically between configurations, affecting handling unpredictably. With touring accessories, it felt top-heavy and unstable in crosswinds. Without them, it felt oddly light in front, lacking the planted feeling riders expected. This inconsistency made the motorcycle feel unfamiliar and unpredictable. Neither configuration looked as good as purpose-built alternatives. As a touring bike, the convertible looked awkward and incomplete compared to dedicated touring models. As a cruiser, the mounting hardware and connection points created visual clutter that detracted from the clean lines that make cruisers appealing. The bike's styling seemed to satisfy neither touring nor cruising aesthetics, creating a machine that looked confused about its own identity. This visual uncertainty translated into market confusion, with potential buyers unsure whether they were looking at a touring bike or a cruiser. At number 6, the VRSCSE should have been the ultimate expression of Harley's Revolution engine technology. Instead, it proved that performance modifications can sometimes make motorcycles worse rather than better. Number 6. Harley-Davidson VRSCSE Screamin Eagle V-Rod. The modified 1,250 cubic centimeter engine produced impressive peak power, but delivered it through an extremely narrow, peaky power band. Below the optimal range, the engine felt sluggish. Above it, power fell off rapidly. Street riding required constant gear changes to keep the engine in its power range, making relaxing cruises into exhausting exercises. Performance modifications created severe heat management problems. The engine ran significantly hotter than the standard V-Rod, making summer riding uncomfortable and potentially damaging components. Riders reported uncomfortable heat levels radiating from the engine, particularly affecting legs and feet during extended riding. Aggressive tuning created reliability issues throughout the brief production run. Owners reported premature engine wear, particularly in valve train components subjected to higher operating stresses. The sensitive engine management system delivered inconsistent performance depending on weather, altitude, and fuel quality. Sales were disappointing, with many potential buyers choosing the more reliable and user-friendly standard V-Rod instead. The motorcycle press was generally critical, with most reviews concluding that the standard V-Rod offered a better overall package for most riders. The VRSCSE was discontinued after just 2 model years, making it one of the shortest-lived models in Harley's recent history. Its brief production run and troubled reputation have made it a cautionary example of how performance modifications can sometimes make a good motorcycle worse. Rolling into number 5. Harley's entry into small displacement markets should have opened new opportunities and attracted younger riders. Instead, these motorcycles became symbols of everything wrong with cost-cutting and global expansion. Manufacturing in India rather than the United States immediately created problems with traditional customers. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Street 500 and Street 750. Quality control issues became apparent with paint inconsistencies, misaligned components, and cheap-feeling materials throughout. These problems undermined confidence in Harley's quality standards. The liquid-cooled engines produced just 34 horsepower, Street 500, and 47 horsepower, Street 750. Adequate for urban commuting, but insufficient for highway riding. The engines felt uninspiring and disconnected from Harley's traditional character, lacking the torque that made other Harleys enjoyable. The chassis revealed significant flaws in real-world conditions. The bikes felt unstable at highway speeds with tendencies to weave and wander. Suspension was underdamped and poorly calibrated, creating bouncy, uncomfortable ride quality. Single front disc brakes were inadequate for the bike's weight. The Street Series cost significantly more than comparable Japanese motorcycles while offering inferior performance, reliability, and build quality. Potential buyers quickly realized they could get better motorcycles elsewhere for less money, while traditional Harley customers saw the bikes as diluting the brand's image. The models were discontinued in the United States after just 3 years, representing a significant setback for Harley's global expansion plans. Coming in at number 4. The MT500 represented one of Harley's most puzzling decisions. Number 4. Harley-Davidson MT500. Rebadging a British military motorcycle and selling it as a Harley. This seemed more like an elaborate practical joke than a serious product. The MT500 was actually a rebadged Armstrong MT500, a single-cylinder military motorcycle originally designed for the British Army. The 481 cubic centimeter engine produced just 27 horsepower, barely adequate for highway riding and insufficient for serious off-road use. Weighing 386 pounds, the MT500 was significantly heavier than competitive dual-sport motorcycles. The single-cylinder engine delivered power in a lumpy, unrefined manner that felt agricultural. Highway performance was particularly poor. The bike struggled to maintain 65 miles per hour, creating safety concerns on interstate travel. Despite military origins, the MT500 was poorly suited for off-road riding. Weight and awkward weight distribution made it difficult to handle in rough terrain. Ground clearance was insufficient for technical riding, while the exhaust system was vulnerable to rock damage. The MT500 confused both dealers and customers. Harley dealers weren't sure how to position the bike, as it shared nothing with other Harley products in terms of image, performance, or customer appeal. The bike attracted neither traditional Harley customers nor dual-sport enthusiasts, leaving it stranded in a market segment of one. Sliding into number 3. The Tri-Glide Ultra promised maximum touring stability and comfort, but became a monument to over-engineering and unintended consequences. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Tri-Glide Ultra. Tipping scales at over 1,200 pounds, the Tri-Glide was significantly heavier than traditional touring motorcycles. This weight created handling challenges that engineering couldn't overcome. The 3-wheel configuration added numerous potential failure points, making maintenance complicated and expensive. Despite promises of improved stability, the Tri-Glide felt unstable at low speeds, requiring significant effort for parking lot maneuvers. The wide rear end made lane changes difficult and created clearance issues. At highway speeds, the bike exhibited unpredictable characteristics, particularly in crosswinds. The braking system operated front and rear independently, creating inconsistent stopping performance. The bike's weight made emergency stopping challenging, with the system becoming overwhelmed when maximum performance was needed. Steering required enormous physical effort at low speeds, making tight spaces exhausting to navigate. The Tri-Glide's complexity created maintenance challenges that few owners anticipated. Routine services required specialized tools and knowledge, making dealer visits expensive and time-consuming. Many common maintenance tasks that owners could perform on traditional motorcycles required professional service on the Tri-Glide. The additional components and systems meant that more things could go wrong, and when they did, repairs were often expensive and time-consuming. The bike's complexity made troubleshooting difficult, even for experienced technicians. Taking the number 2 spot, the original V-Rod should have been Harley's triumphant entry into modern performance motorcycles. Number 2. Harley-Davidson V-Rod. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about how good engineering can be undermined by poor execution. The V-Rod's most obvious problem was controversial styling that looked nothing like traditional Harleys. Angular lines, exposed radiators, and modern aesthetics alienated traditional customers. The liquid cooling requirements forced designers to compromise the classic Harley silhouette, creating awkward proportions that satisfied neither traditionalists nor performance enthusiasts. While technically impressive with 115 horsepower, the Revolution engine lacked Harley character. Liquid cooling eliminated the characteristic sound and feel, while smooth operation felt disconnected from brand heritage. The engine felt more like a large sport bike motor than a Harley, creating identity confusion. Despite advanced engineering, the Revolution engine suffered significant early reliability problems. The complex fuel injection system was prone to failure, while cooling system problems included overheating and coolant leaks. The bike's performance couldn't compete with true sport bikes, while its character didn't appeal to traditional Harley customers. Positioned as a performance motorcycle, the V-Rod couldn't justify its positioning against true sport bikes. Traditional Harley customers rejected its modern styling and character, while performance riders chose better alternatives. The bike occupied an uncomfortable middle ground that appealed to neither market segment. The V-Rod limped along for over a decade before production ended in 2017, widely recognized as a failed experiment that consumed enormous resources without meaningful returns, and taking the number 1 spot as the most disappointing. The LiveWire was supposed to represent Harley's bold entry into the electric future. Number 1. Harley-Davidson LiveWire. Instead, it became the most disappointing and damaging product launch in the company's modern history. The LiveWire's $29,799 MSRP immediately eliminated most potential customers. For nearly $30,000, buyers could purchase multiple traditional motorcycles or extremely high-performance sport bikes. The price seemed arbitrary and unjustifiable given the bike's severe limitations. The claimed 146-mile city range dropped to just 70 miles at highway speeds. Real-world testing revealed ranges as low as 50 miles when riding aggressively or in cold weather. This limited range made the bike unsuitable for touring, long-distance commuting, or extended highway use, eliminating most practical motorcycle applications. The LiveWire's charging requirements exposed inadequate motorcycle charging infrastructure. Few stations accommodated motorcycles effectively, creating range anxiety even on short trips. Charging times were problematic: 12 hours for full charge using household current, or 40 minutes for 80% charge using DC fast charging when available. The LiveWire's near-silent operation eliminated the distinctive sound and vibration that created emotional connections to Harley motorcycles. Artificial sound generation felt fake and unsatisfying. The bike's sterile, appliance-like character contradicted everything that made Harley-Davidson special. Despite high price and advanced technology, the LiveWire suffered significant quality control problems. Owners reported electrical failures, charging problems, and software glitches that left them stranded. The complex electronics were sensitive to environmental conditions, making the bike unsuitable for daily transportation. Sales were disastrous. Fewer than 1,000 LiveWires sold in the first year despite massive marketing investment. The bike failed to attract new customers while alienating existing ones who saw it as betraying Harley's heritage. Development and marketing costs were enormous, but sales revenue was minimal. The LiveWire represented fundamental misunderstanding of customer needs and market realities. it satisfied neither traditional Harley buyers nor electric vehicle enthusiasts. The bike was discontinued as a Harley model in 2022, forcing the company to write off hundreds of millions in development costs. The LiveWire remains the most expensive mistake in Harley's modern history, demonstrating how good intentions, advanced technology, and enormous investment can still result in complete failure when fundamental customer needs are ignored. These 10 motorcycles represent the most disappointing chapters in Harley-Davidson's history. From the confused XR1200 to the catastrophic LiveWire, each teaches valuable lessons about understanding customer needs, maintaining brand identity, and proper execution. While Harley has created many legendary motorcycles, these models remind everyone that even iconic brands can make significant mistakes. The key is learning from failures and using those lessons to create better motorcycles. What do you think about these disappointing Harleys? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more motorcycle content that digs deep into the bikes that didn't quite hit the mark.